Hello, dear viewers. Peace and joy. I welcome you to this new episode of discussion or interview on the book, The Flower from My Mother's Garden, Sermon Memoirs, written by Very Reverend Father Raymond Osei Tutu. And today in this interview, we are going to talk about the chapter 3 of this book that talks about the flower in Angelina's garden. I'm sure by now you know who Angelina is. If not, then you need to listen to the previous episode, then you know who Angelina is. But just to save you that time, Angelina is the mother of Reverend Father Raymond Osei Tutu, and he is the flower in that garden. In this episode, I welcome the Reverend Father Raymond Osei Tutu.
Thank you very much for the
flower from my mother's garden.
Yes, I am. I am the flower.
Now we are on chapter 3 of this book.
Okay.
And I want to believe that by now, those who have followed this episode are beginning to see you from a different light. I want to believe so. And getting to understand who Father Raymond is.
I think this has been the dream, that everybody gets to understand a little bit of what they didn't know before and appreciate the person and know that he is a person who has been influenced, and all the people that I know are also part of those who are influencing my life. Yeah. And I acknowledge this kind of influence, and I pray that every one of us will make it positive, so that when the story is told one day, who knows, in heaven, you would also find your name as those who helped to make me who I am. Yes.
The flower in Angelina's garden, not a flower, but the flower.
Yes.
Just one flower, or that particular flower.
Exactly.
In Angelina's garden. What is it this all about in a nutshell?
The flower in my mother's garden is just to be able to once again reiterate, say that my mother loved flowers. Okay. And if you visited our home in Community 6, Tema, or even in our bachelor residence, you used to see, you would best be treated to just an array of flowers, all kinds of flowers. She goes around picking and getting flowers, and you know, you can't just but help, you know, to love her for her love for flowers and that kind of thing. And I think that she was so meticulous with them, and the way she went about getting flowers, getting them, making sure that it's good. I think that kind of passion is what she exhibited in my education and in my formation as a child to become who I am. My worldviews, my perceptions are drawn from the way my mother went about her things. So when we were doing the gardening, some of the things that she would say, you have to do this before that. You have to wake up early in the morning. You have to try and do your gardening before the sun rise and things like that. So I learned those things, that waking up early to pray, waking up early to meet your God is something that we do, as you know, flowers from the garden prepare themselves to meet their maker way before, you know, things happen way before. So that's how my mother has been very influential in my life. Yeah.
One striking thing about this chapter for me is the fact that you did not see the flower in my mother's garden anymore, but in Angelina's garden. The name Angelina.
Angelina, yes.
Yes. So in the book there, you quoted one of the quote from this Italian woman, Paola Sosai, who said, "C'è mai stato un giorno nella tua vita in cui non hai menzionato o parlato di tua madre?" You know, simply to say, is there a day in your life that you have never spoken to your mother or spoken about your mother?
I think this statement from Paola, I call it the Eureka moment, because I had been a priest for 6 years already, and I never knew, I had never been conscious of the influence of my mother on me. And so when she mentioned that to me, then I was like, really? So from that moment, I began to see, yes, this is true. My mother has had a lot of positive things and positive, negative things in my life. And sometimes, there were some of the things that she did, for example, in life that I said to myself, I would try to avoid maybe the way she did it this way. Okay. So it's not only about just good things, but the fact of some of her negative way of behavior for me became what helped me to restrain from becoming like that. And there were also some of the things that she loved to do that I said, I want to be like that.
Yes. At a point in time, you describe her as the Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, she was even more than that.
Sure, should be happy to hear that.
Well, I guess that's the truth. She was more than a Margaret Thatcher. But if you know Margaret Thatcher, you know also that she was very, very positively influential in the life of the Great Britain. So it's not a negative thing to say that she was a Margaret Thatcher, but she had the iron fist, and I recount one of the days that she came back from town. And there I was standing outside with a friend, a lady friend, having a conversation. She drove her car in and then called the two of us to come forward. Then she asked the lady to sit down, and then she gave me some, 3 spanks. They were not easy. And I think the lady even heard the sound of them. So she got scared because she was already the next. She would be the next. And then she walked me in front of the lady and said to her, young lady, if you want to come and visit my son, don't stand outside. Come inside so that I know who you are. I don't want any corner things. And then she looked at the lady and gave her a wink of smile. And the lady didn't know whether to smile or to cry. Said the lady. So then she went in, took water, took a drink, served the lady very well. So the lady didn't know whether should she take it or not. That's my mother. She's just fire and water at the same time. She, you can't just miss her. And the lady keeps talking about it, says, hey, your mother. And that's how she always says, your mother. Yes, that's what she was, Angelina. She was a firebrand. But, fire with lots of water.
You call her Angie?
Angie. Auntie Angie. That's how everybody calls her. Everybody calls her Auntie Angie, Auntie Angie, Auntie Angie. That's everybody.
Do you think that you have taken after your mother?
Very much so, very much so. In fact, I do not have her looks.
Okay.
So much, but I have her traits. One of the days I was just on a vacation, and I went to Corpus Christi Parish, and my sister, I was, putting up with my sister on a vacation. Then my sister was sitting in the talk. So this was at Corpus Christi before they moved into the big church. Yeah, okay. So that was in the classroom. Those classrooms, the pavilion there. Yeah. So after the talk and the mass and everything, she was standing in the corner, me doing all my things, hugging people left and right, greeting everybody till the last person was gone. Then when I got to her, she had tears all over her eyes, and she just said, why? All your mannerisms in church was just like Mama, even though your face was just like Dada. So if you know me, everybody who knows me knows that my mannerisms and sometimes the ability to be, move out into people and talk and make friends, that's just my mama, my mother in action. That's who she is. Yeah.
In the book, at a point you stated that I think I was one of her flower pots, in quotes, that she painstakingly nurtured and manured to become a flower among the flower fit for the master's altar. What makes you say that?
Well, being the only boy in the family, she really made sure that I was not only given the best, but also giving what I deserved. So she made sure that, yes. So, and I recount many stories like that in her life, and she would treat me, she would give me everything. But one of the stories I want to recount with my sister, Letitia. Oh no, I was too much a naughty boy. Because one of the days I just, my sister Letitia, because I realized that my mom always gave me some preferential treatment with my sisters, and particularly Letitia. So I thought I could take advantage of that. So she gave me, an instruction, and I decided to be truant, and I didn't follow. And she gave me a little spank there. And to punish her, in my view, I went into the closet and took all my clothes, wore them one by one. And when I wore each one, I went out and on the floor, rolled in the sand, and made sure that it got dirty.
At what age was this?
This was around maybe 9 years, 10 years, or 11. And, so I got all the clothes dirty with the mind. It was before washing machines were in vogue, So my sister had to wash them. So when my mother came back, my sister went and reported to my mother, this is what I have done. My mother said, what? First of all, apologize. I did. Then she said, okay. It was a Saturday. Okay. My mother made sure that on Sunday, I wore one of those dress, dirty and, unkempt like that. I wore it like that to church. And she made sure that I sat next to her. And whenever people saw her and they would ask me, Madam, your child's dress is dirty, says, ask him. Ask him. So, and you say it in Bisano. So people would, just say that, Madam, your child's, or say, ask him. The following Sunday, the whole week, I wore all the dresses unwashed. Wow. And she made sure I wore every single one of them unwashed, dirty, for everybody to see. And then afterwards, she says that you better not do that again. And since then, I have learned to be respectful to the people that provide services for us. And I think, people who provide services must be respected. This has been I think this is a good confession to a priest. But I mention it also in the book because I don't think anybody should be thinking that way, that you think you want to hurt the person that gives you service. I was really a boy. I was really a boy.
And I to have thought of that.
I wanted to just punish her. I wanted her to wash many clothes. I hadn't started washing myself. No. So it didn't take long when my mother said, now you're going to start washing yourself. It's time.
Then you see whether you make it dirty.
Then you see whether you make it dirty. And I tell you, there were days when I've washed on Sundays when I've worn the dresses and I have to wash them on the next moment. Then I want to re-wear it. And my mother says, no, you wash it. So okay.
Makes me remember some days now. Anyway, so he said, as a gardener, she exhibited and often explained to me the following life principles. So we want to look at some of the principles that the gardener, Angelina, taught you that I know for sure that you are putting them into your life. I mean, in the work you also do. The principle number 1 says, good gardeners feed and water constantly. Yes.
Good gardeners feed and water
constantly.
That is something that she said. You don't start something and then you stop.
Okay. Must be constant.
And people know me that when I put my hand or eyes to something to do, until it is done, I don't stop.
That's true.
That's coming from my mom. She always, unless it's raining, she would get up and go and attend to her flowers. And she always said, you don't say that today is not, you have to do it. So this is something that I learned from her.
So that just means that her eyes were you constantly giving you that kind of constant care to make sure she gets the best out of you.
She gets the best out of me, yeah.
Okay. So another principle there, good gardeners keep weed at bay.
Yes. I mentioned in one of the episodes about the story of Michelangelo, where in Michelangelo's case, you see that Michelangelo did not just he saw the statue of David in the rock in the stone. So the same way, Mom always felt that when weeds, people, bad influence come around you, she would not waste time to weed them off. And she says you better weed it before it becomes a forest. So whenever you got into bad company, bad friends, she would not mind coming to talk to the friend and say, no, I don't want you to be in the company of this person. She will not miss words.
That's why she said never entertain your friend at the gate.
At the gate, if you make sure come, she says no corner. Okay. You have to do things before her eyes.
So whether it wasn't just about ladies, but
it wasn't just about ladies. Even a guy, a male friend, you don't have to stand. And something that she does when I used to play, she would always say, if you play and go to a distance, that when she stands at the gate and shouts my name,
and you can't hear,
it means that you've gone past your limit. And she used to do that even when she was with her friends.
Okay.
Sometimes when she was with her friends, you just hear her. She would just shout, Raymond! From the sitting room, she just shout like that. And the mothers would say, he's far, he's playing. And all of a sudden, I will appear. And then she just...
we are within
range. You have to be within range. And you better... my mom was not a woman you would want to be, trying her patience.
Wow.
Because she would show you that you cannot try. And that sometimes has helped me also to be obedient and respectful to my superiors. Otherwise, this work of priesthood would have been difficult. But obedience to my superiors, I may speak my mind, but at the end, obedience to my superiors is something I take very, very, serious. I'd speak my mind in expressing myself, but obedience is obedience.
Obedience is obedience. Very important. But that's one thing that the seminary also instilled in us, obedience. Not just following orders for following sake, but obeying because you are submitting your will.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. It doesn't mean you have no will.
Yeah. Yes. You submit it. You have no will.
Yes.
You submit it.
You have to submit your will freely. Good gardeners are aware of seasonality.
Yes. In fact, that is what in fact, I even understood this principle before ordination and after ordination, that
there's time for everything.
There's a time for everything. When we entered the seminary in 1993, all of us had the dream of becoming the Jubilee priest.
Oh, okay.
We were the batch that were to be ordained in the Jubilee year, 2000. And we were always dreaming for that. But for me, that was not the reality. And when it was time for my ordination, and I was ordained in my own parish by the apostolic nuncio, afterwards, I knew that there is a time and season for everything. Yes. So, yeah.
And that's very important. Because as you grow, you know that there are people who cannot differentiate between time for serious business and time for jokes.
Yes.
For some, it's always time to smile.
Yes.
There should be a time when you frown.
I remember, one of the days walking at the St. Peter's Square. Well, not at the St. Peter's Square, Paulo VI Hall.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
we went for a concert with the Pope, and it was going deep into the night. So I decided to come out. Now, when I walked out of the Paulo Sesto and I was walking within the inner circles of the Vatican before you meet the Swiss guards, and all of a sudden a chill just came upon me. And what did I remember? You know, when we were in our 3rd year, my best friends were sent to Rome to study as seminarians. And I was like, why not us? And here I was in Rome for 2 years, and I didn't even remember that this was the Rome that I was dreaming to come. So you see, there's no need to rush in life. Your time will come.
There's time for everything.
When the time comes.
Your time will come. When your time comes.
Yes.
And I'm here. Your time will come. Good gardeners maintain a steadfast focus.
Very, very close to the principles that have been mentioned. But here we are talking about not just being consistent, but keeping a steadfast focus. Many times we lose attention. Life, there's so many noises around us that makes us lose focus of who we are as priests or who we are as Christians. So Mama says, keep your focus. Keep your focus. And that's what it is. And these are principles that have kept me going. And I pray that in the next 25 years and even beyond, I'd keep my focus.
I believe that everybody needs this. Everybody, every human being needs focus. But imagine a driver is driving without being focused. Definitely be an accident.
Exactly.
Imagine somebody is cutting something without being focused. You chop off your hands. So we need to keep that focus as a people. Then this one, very interesting, says good gardeners prune.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the question of discipline today is sometimes I just shudder when I see parents, hesitating, in disciplining their children. Well, I was privileged to have a mother that did not restrain discipline, and she pruned. And, I came to understand that she always said to me that for me to discipline you means I must love you. But today we say, let the child choose and do what it wants. How can that? I mean, in education, from the word education and educere and educare, it means that, you bring out. That means that the child has something in the head. But in educere, you direct the child also. So it is not just a question about allowing the child, what food will you eat? What will you do? What will you do? If that is the case, why choose the school for the child? Just ask the child, what school will you attend? What will parents need to take responsibilities of their children? And I think my mom doing that over me has been good. And as a father of the church, I also take certain responsibilities for my church, and I try to do that with a clear conscience all the time. And one of the things that, in terms of the first time as I became a tribunal judge and we had to write the sentence, when you are writing the sentence, it tells you that with the Lord before me and the truth behind me, like I, so and so, declare that what I write is the truth, and that the words are so heavy that you just can't do. But if I had not learned this discipline to stand by the truth, I think that we would just be doing things only to please people. But Mama has been so strong, and I can't but attribute some of these things to her and to many others who have helped me in my discipline.
If we look at our society today, is it that discipline is out of the system or our time, or the mode of discipline has changed?
The mode of discipline has changed, and to a large extent, we have allowed children to decide a lot of times instead of helping them to be able to understand. You ask the child, what will you eat? What would you do? What will you do this? You tell the child. My mom, for example, one of the days I just, told my mom that I would not eat. I went out and I came back and I didn't eat the food.
Yeah.
And my mother said, you don't do that. If you are not going to eat, you have to let us know. So when I did, and I did it again. When I did it again, she said, okay, wherever you went, you're going to find food there. So in the morning, the following morning, breakfast, she didn't give me food to eat. We went to church and came back. She made sure that I sat my hair and I wouldn't find anything. We came back from lunch and she wouldn't give me food to eat. She said, wherever you went for, you better go and look for the food. So as at lunch, by the time it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, my eyes were bulging out like that. And I just couldn't do anything. My father came and said, will you do that again? I said, no. So my father drove me to my mom and said, please, he will not do that again. My mother looked at me standing and said, whatever is cooked in the house, if you are not allergic to it, you will eat. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I said, yes. Not knowing I was being prepared for the priesthood, where whatever is set before you, you have to eat.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Well, some may see it as very harsh, but this is what happened to me, and this is how it has shaped me to be who I am. Yeah,
exactly. These days we see
children. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't.
The children are controlling their parents.
Yes. It's unfortunate, but it's only sometimes because parenthood is not taught, or people don't allow themselves to be taught. Or the people just find themselves pregnant, and how many parents can boldly say they have ever attended a complete class on parenting before?
No.
Only God knows.
Good gardeners rely completely on the Lord.
Yes, on the Lord. This one, I think I bring it up because my mom says this, but she was not always faithful to this one. Her life was always dependent on one or the other material things, and she was always, so this was a lesson, negative lesson that I picked from her, that because she was always having one or the other, material thing lost. Every day she was always dependent, but, I learned to see that, wow, we have to depend more on the Lord and not, I guess, therefore choosing the life of poverty as a priest, it's not something that I find difficult, even though I have come from plenty. It's not difficult because I've seen it before, and I think that I want to try to be different from that. So we have to rely completely on God. Yeah.
So for those who are watching us now, I'm sure somebody will be thinking, okay, so the flower in Angelina's garden. So what is the goal? Basically, if I understand this chapter, it is to say that everyone needs principle.
Exactly.
We need to be principled, because with that principle, you will do things anyway, anyhow, anytime, without being guided by certain philosophies.
I dare also challenge those who hear me, and even children. How many of you know principles that you have learned from your parents? How many of us can recount principles? These are the ways my parents do it. But it's always about this is what Google says. This is what Facebook says. This is what this is what is the ish. This is what is on TikTok. Really? Really? That's sad. I think that this book is to tell current generation that if there is any reference to be made, first and foremost, let's make reference to our parents. Me as a Catholic priest, when I make a reference, I talk about Mother Church. And when I talk as a son, I talk about my mother before I talk about whatever others are saying. If my mother says it is so, I first believe that before I ask any other. But today, when mama says, doesn't mean, because everybody thinks that your mother is colo, and whether what you find on the internet is the best. This is a very sad reality that is facing our generation.
So do you have principles? Are you being guided by any principle in life? What principles are they? Christian principles, good principles? Father here has been taught principles from his mother, which he calls the mother a gardener, the principles of a gardener. What principles do you have the principle of a carpenter, the principle of a mason, the principle of Jesus, the principle of, but you must have certain principles so that by these you shape your life. And this is what the chapter 3 of The Flower from My Mother's Garden, the sermon memoirs, is all about. You can read the book for detailed information in there. I want to thank Father, very Reverend Father Raymond Osei Tutu once again for this beautiful episode on this wonderful book you have written. Join us again in the next episode where we shall talk about chapter 4. It talks about the flour ready for the master's use. Now the flour is ready and the master is going to use that flowers. It is an interesting chapter you would want to read, and it will be an interesting episode we will have next time. Thank you very much. So catch us again in the next episode. Ciao.